Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tao of the Day. This is Martin Garcia. Um, wow, Martin Garcia. That's crazy. You normally never say Martin Garcia. But what? Um, this is Martin John. Martin John Garcia. And why am I throwing in Garcia in there? That's weird. I never do that. But yeah, this is Martin John, and I am here to present Tao of the Day. You might have a question of what is Tao of the Day. Tao of the Day is a program where I present the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written about 300 BCE. I read the Tao regularly. I've been reading the Tao. It's been a part of my recovery. I got 22 years clean and sober, 23 at the end of this year. And I utilize the Tao as a way of thinking and living more in line with Tao or in a more reasonable way. When I talk about living in a reasonable way, it really stems from this idea of not asking the world to change for me. Um, you know, I've been mentioning this as it relates to Wim Hof. If you're familiar with Wim Hof, he is um, he is considered the Iceman. He does all of this. Is today the equinox? I'm just kind of flipping through some things. It looks like today is the March equinox. So that's pretty interesting. And what am I talking about? I'm a little distracted at the moment. So I'm going to take a deep breath. So the Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written about 600 BCE, and it consists of 81 chapters of poetic, enigmatic sort of ideas around how you can live a more aligned life, or a life more aligned with the natural course of the universe, the Tao, in other words. And what the Tao Te Ching helps you kind of realize is that are places where you're not being reasonable, where you're asking the world, where you're asking others, where you're asking the nature of things to change while you don't have to, right? While you give yourself a free pass on change. When you say, I don't have to change, I'm comfortable. It's cold outside. I wish it was warmer. This is why we talk about Wim Hof. Wim Hof said, it's cold outside. I am warmer, right? Like I can be warmer. When you are outside and you're cold and you're focused on how cold you are, well, you're just going to get more cold. But when you can live a reasonable life, you don't ask the cold to change. You get yourself to a new state of being. You get yourself into a state where you can be quiet in your mind, breathe, and allow your body to heat up rather than be cold from the outside. We talk a lot about this idea of, you know, law of attraction and manifestation. And I can't tell you how much those things like just enrage me, because it's just another, it's not a scam, like those things are real, but most people are scamming you when they talk about that, because that's what you want, right? You want to be able to create your life. You want to be able to just think something and it happen. And although that is true, it does work that way. You're probably not aware of what you're thinking at all. You probably have no idea what you're experiencing. You probably have no clue what it is you're creating. And if you ever looked outside of your body and said, I wish that was different, then you do not know what the fuck is going on. And you're totally unaware of yourself and what's going on within you. You are only aware of what's going on around you, and you're playing the victim to it. And by playing the victim to it, you will continue to be the victim to it. And when you can finally realize that that is not a reasonable way of living, then and only then will you be able to grow beyond it. So this is Tao of the Day, and what I ask is that you select the number between 1 and 81. and I would be happy to read your Tao for the day. Um, and I'm going to look at number 68 today. And if you are interested in 68, you can listen in. Otherwise, you can step up and pick a number between 1 and 81, and we can read that together. And then we can go over it. We can look at it line by line. We can break it down. 68 is a really great verse, as it relates to understanding it's not about the destination. It's not about what you think it's about. It's not about winning. It's not about profit. It's about living. It's about having this experience of life. Number 68 is entitled, Do What You Love to Do. Great athletes love to play, not win. Great fighters love to fight, not be angry. Great generals love to strategize, not destroy. Great employers love to employ, not be a boss. Great musicians love to play, not perform. They are not attached to identities or outcomes. They simply dance with what they love to do. This is in harmony with Tao. This is so many of us, like, we have an identity, and we believe that identity has rules to it. We believe that that identity has a way of going about its thing, right? Like, if we look at these 5 examples, great athletes. So what makes a great athlete? And if I were to ask people, like, in general, what makes a great athlete, right? They would say, well, excellence, and they would say winning, and they would say all of these things that, great athletes love, like strength and perseverance and all of these identities, right? All of these things that you can define an athlete as. When I would say, what does a great fighter love? Right? A great fighter loves, um, you know, hurting people, or being, beating people up, or being angry, or all of those things. What does a great general love to do? They love to destroy, large swaths of land, and destroy things. No, like, it is in the dance of doing those things that may or may not come to pass. A great athlete loves to play, not win. Just loves to be out there. I play cribbage with somebody every week, they really love to win, and they do have a bit of you know a streak where it's like, if they don't win, it's frustrating and stuff. But there is there's this other aspect for myself when I get to play with them. Like, it's just, I'm gonna sneeze. Thank you. So if I get, like, I look at it as this idea of, like, oh, I want to play, right? I want to, like, without you, I can't play. So this isn't, about winning. It's about playing. And if I get to play, then I'm happy, right? It's good for me to be able to play. I enjoy playing, and it's not in the winning that it stands, right? It's not all just about winning. Like, when it comes to this moment, I just want to play. I want you here. I remember someone told me this about tennis. They used to be a real, like, kind of sore loser and all of this kind of stuff, and and even a sore winner, right? And they realized at some point that without their opponent, they could not play. And that's the thing. If you're a great athlete, or if you play cards, or if you do a thing, without your opponent, you can't play. So it's not about winning, it's about playing. A great fighter loves to fight, loves to get in there and mix it up. Remember when I wrestled and when I did boxing and stuff, it was always great to be able to just engage with another human being. Like, I didn't want to get angry and win. It wasn't about beating them. It wasn't about like tapping into that. It was about, no, like, look at my body. Look at what it's doing. I want to engage in this activity. A great general loves to strategize. And that's what they do, right? Great generals love to sit down and they strategize, not destroy. I don't want to destroy things. Sure, there are generals who are, engaged in the destruction of their opponent, in the destruction of their opponent's property, or the destruction of but if you strategize and you engage in strategizing, then you can see, and you can play it forward, and you can do all of that, and that's good. That's what you want to do. Great employers love to employ, not be a boss. They're not engaged in just being a boss. They're much happier when they can employ somebody. They don't want to tell that somebody what to do. They want to employ the right person to do the job, of course, but they're not like great employers don't, micromanage. They allow the people that they employ to do their job. Great musicians love to play, not perform. Now this goes back to great athletes love to play, not win. Great musicians love to play, not perform, right? When we talk about not winning, that's outcome. Not performing is like soaking in all of this attention, soaking in all of this, you know, um, I'm performing, right? This is an identity. I'm I'm performing this identity for other people. But great musicians love to play. They just love to, it doesn't matter. One person is listening or nobody. Maybe you're just doing it in your studio and you just play, play, play. And then all of a sudden you're doing it in front of a crowd, but you're not performing. You're just playing. Just like you were playing if you're a great athlete, you just play. And it is in the form of play. In one translation of the Tao, it says, they do all of this in the spirit of play. And I translated that a little differently. They are not attached to identities or outcomes, so that's one aspect of it. They don't care if they win, they don't care if they perform well, they're just playing, and it's all the same right now. But that's what makes them great. They simply dance with what they love to do. And that's the thing. Can you, or are you dancing with what you love to do? Are you living your life connected to and dancing with all that you love to do? Or are you engaged in trying to get an identity and be attached to the outcome? Are you an employer who just loves to be a boss and tell people what to do? I had an employer like that. I worked for a small startup, and and that startup had this boss who loved to hire people. I worked there for 2 years, and in the process of her, like, what she would do is she would micromanage. She loved micromanage. She didn't love employing people to do what they did. She loved employing people to tell them what to do and to micromanage them all along the way. And that was what made her a horrible employer. So it's real, it's a real thing, and it's important to be able to recognize what is it that's engaging you in doing that which you are doing in this moment. Are you engaged in winning? Is that what makes you an athlete, right? Like you want to win? Because that's not going to make you a great athlete. It's just going to make you a competitor. You know, you're just competing for something. There is this outcome that you're looking for. But great athletes, great fighters, great generals, great employers, great musicians, great people who are great at what they do are not attached to the identities or outcomes that has anything to do with. It's not about winning. It's not about being angry. It's not about destroying others. It's not about telling people what to do. It's not about getting praise for what they've done. It's just about them doing what they do. And you dance with what you love to do. This is in harmony with Tao. Can you do what you do without caring about the outcome? That's a hard thing. But if you can recognize what it is you're attached to, if you can recognize why you're doing this thing, then maybe you can figure out if you're attached, what you're attached to, and if you really want to be a great athlete or a great fighter or a great politician, even. Right? That identity probably holds an outcome for you. And if you're attached to the outcome more than you're attached to the doing of the thing that would create the outcome, then you're not in line with Tao. You're not doing things for this moment. You're stuck in something else. You're stuck in a big, you know, heap of shit, really. Well, thank you guys for showing up for Tao of the Day. If you guys have a number between 1 and 81, I would love to read it to you and go through it line by line with you. But if not, I am Martin John. This is Tao of the Day, where we talk about the Tao Te Ching. Oh, Jessica is on early this morning. Let's see what Jessica has. Jessica? Nope. Jessica stopped out. So if anybody has a number between 1 and 81, you can step up. Sometimes people get cut out, so I'm going to wait a moment. But if you have a number between 1 and 81 you want to select, please step up. When Jessica is back. Let's see. Sometimes, this is a young app. Sometimes there are glitches, and so we're going to see.
It
Jessica, you there?
did. It glitched on me as soon as I was getting ready to come to stage. I got a great big huge X on that.
Weird. I have
Yeah.
not seen that.
I have never seen that either. I was like, what in the world is that?
Yeah, well, there it is, and there are glitches at times, and so we will ride through it. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Good morning, Martin John.
Good
It's nice to speak
morning.
with you this morning.
It is so nice.
This
Yeah,
is.
I have a big day ahead of me with a lot of meetings and stuff. I'm actually going to be meeting Lois later today.
Are you really?
Yep, she's here in Chicago with her daughter, and we're gonna go and have a nice little day in Chicago today.
Someday I'm going to get to meet Lois. Everybody keeps getting to meet Lois, and someday I'm going to get to wrap my arms around her neck and just squeeze her for all the love and joy that she has brought to my life.
Yeah, so it's very mutual. Like it's very similar with myself. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Lois brings so much to so many of our lives. It's just pretty amazing to have one person have such an impact on so many lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love me some Lois.
Yeah, you and me both.
Somebody and I were joking. Who was it? I don't know. But sometimes we were joking about what would Lois do before we make a choice or decision.
She'd
What was?
ho'oponopono that shit is what she would do.
That's exactly what she would do. Oh, good morning, Mike and Jen. This is really, this is a blessing that I'm even up at this time because this is something new for me. I don't really, and I am not a morning person, and I
Whoa, whoa,
have.
whoa, 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 whoa! You
Uh oh.
haven't you haven't been thus so far in your life you haven't been a morning person.
Correct. You're right because
You are
this
you don't know yourself as a morning person.
I do not know myself as a morning person.
Yeah.
And last Wednesday, I got this message that basically it was that I was to get up at 6 o'clock, and I was to start coming on wisdom and doing talks again. So
Mm.
this morning I was woken up at like 5:30,
Mm.
and I was like, no, I do not want to do this. But I got up and I had the discipline to get up and get out of the bed. So here I am.
Well, I am. I don't know. Like the idea of morning person or whatnot. Like I enjoy getting up before the sun, and to
Mm.
be able to greet the day. And I look at it in this way of like, like when you sleep late, and for me, late is the sun is up, and I look at that as like if you open your curtains and the sun comes streaming in, it hurts your eyes. It's painful.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, but when you wake up before the sun, there's this gradual lightening of the day. You
Mm.
open your curtains and it's still dark, but then the sun slowly comes up and it's not a jarring experience.
Mm.
And that's just a metaphor for what I think happens, where it's like you wake up at, like after the sun is up, and there's all of these things happening. Maybe you will still wake up pretty early, but there's still like action. There's still, the day is moving. The day is something that we get. It's a gift, and to be there, and it's not a painful thing. But when we wake up and the sun is already up, we open up those curtains and we're like, ugh, good. The face is all scrunched up, and I'm like I look at that and I'm like, that's that's the day shouldn't hurt,
Mm.
and that's how I look at it. Now it should be said that for probably the last 15 years I've been waking up early relatively, and I mean, for the last couple weeks I've been waking up in early enough that some people might say that that's just still late, you know um um so it is. But I don't think everybody should wake up early. I don't think at anything like that. But there is an experience of like that I've had around waking up and being and greeting the day and being up before the sun and all of that, that I think really is not only poetic, but it definitely has changed me.
Yeah. You know what I heard you say was an answer to a question that I had as we started this conversation. I don't know how much of my story you know, Martin John,
Hmm.
but I spent a lot of years in severe depression,
Yeah.
especially after my first son died. That really plummeted me into dark, dark depression. And so I was asking myself, why do I still, at this point in my life where I've had so much healing take place, want to sleep until 10, 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon? And then you said something that, and just now when you were talking, it says the day shouldn't hurt. And
Yeah.
it made me think, you know what? In the past, my days hurt, right?
Yeah.
Like even in back in my childhood with all the abuse that I endured and all of the different things, the day hurt. And
Hmm.
because the day hurts so much, I would be so resistant to the day and resistant to getting up and being an active participant in the day. And now, to this morning, like I said, I'm up. I got up at 5:30, and yes, I was resistant to it, but I know that my day today is not going to hurt. I know it's not going to be suffering and pain. because my life, I live this beautiful life now, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
even for you this morning, you know the day is not going to hurt because you're going to get to see Lois and wrap her up in your arms and stuff like that. So the day doesn't hurt. How many times have we decided to just sleep in because the day we fear that the day is going to hurt?
Yeah, and then what ends up happening is we continue to condense the amount of time that pain, like, one of the nice things I think about when I get up, and if you get up at 4 a.m. like I do, you better have something in line. Like I get up, I journal, I exercise, I do all of these things. I have this routine that I engage in, and if you don't have that routine, you might very well go back to bed.
Yes, and
You know.
and the thing is, when you started this conversation, when I clicked in onto your conversation, the
Hmm.
first thing that jumped out at me is engage in strategy, and
Mm.
it's all tying into what this day is for me and what you're saying now because you say you have a routine.
Yeah.
Well, it's engaging in strategy. It's making sure that your day is planned out. I mean, this today is about for me, and this is what my talk is going to be about here in a few minutes is about self discipline and how I've
Hmm.
even lacked my own self discipline.
Of course.
And especially in the depression, and even now, I haven't had all that. Well, I can't say that because I have a fair amount of self discipline in certain areas, but I'm not in all areas, and definitely not getting up. So I love this conversation we've been having even before we actually got to talk
Yeah.
about even engaging in strategy.
Yeah, and when we talk about self-discipline, your engagement with that thing and your ability to measure that thing is going to change day to day. So like you may sit here and say I have great self-discipline when it comes to dot 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 whatever these things are. But then in 6 years your ability to, um work with your own self-efficacy, right? Like stand up for your what's good for you is going to change and it's going to alter. And then you're going to be like, oh, 6 years ago when I thought I had good self discipline, actually I had shit self discipline compared to where I am now.
Yes.
And so it is such a changing thing. And anytime, and I'm not one to measure because of that. Like anytime we find ourselves measuring, we have to be able to recognize that measure is using a measuring device. And we have watches and clocks and we have all of these things to measure time, but we actually don't ever measure time. We measure we measure the vibration of quartz, and that's really what we're measuring when we deal with time, and we have still yet to figure out if time exists, right? And yet we have this way of measuring quote unquote time, right? But we're not measuring time, which is we're just measuring the deterioration of a crystal, right? And so what ends up happening is that we get all of these measuring devices and we're measuring to an abstract. It's not abstract because we've measured it, right? It's like, oh, here is a foot, here is a meter, and we're measuring space. But we still don't have a firm, like, bearing on if space exists. Like we still think it could just be uh, uh you know a hallucination. And so if it is a mass hallucination, then we're not really measuring anything, right? And so what ends up happening when we create these measuring tools is we solidify into ideas, we get these solid ideas of like, this is real. My ability to have self-discipline is real, and it is measured against something else. And it's like, that's the problem. It's measured against something else. There is no pure way of measuring self-discipline.
No, there's not. It's only against your own chaos, right?
Right. And it's chaos
Yeah.
that you're measuring it against. And so what you're actually measuring, you're not measuring self-discipline, you're measuring chaos.
Yes. And that's the thing, is that when left to our own chaos, sometimes we get off track, right? We get out of I don't want to say we just free when we when in our chaos we tend to get lost, right? Sometimes, and we lose our foothold in our lives sometimes in the chaos. But when we can find that discipline in our lives, which is what we're measuring one against the other, we kind of find a better foothold in our lives and a better, um, 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 I can't think of the word this morning, Martin
No,
John,
that's all right. Yeah.
um, a better strategy to engage in to help keep our lives on a track that for me self-discipline is a better way of dealing with the setbacks and traumas and the dramas that life throws at us, right? So my life is chaos in motion constantly, right? Because I have a lot of variables in my life that are unpredictable, Kelsey being one of those, with the fact that you never know when she's going to have a seizure or,
Right.
some kind of those different things. So finding the self-discipline and engaging in strategies, which is so beautifully put together this morning, is the idea that I would be able to find peace in the middle of that chaos. If any of that came together right.
Yeah, and but that that then will also collapse.
Yes, it will.
Right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there is the we have to recognize that when we're doing those things, it's like, well, what we're doing is we're giving ourselves the best, the
Yes.
best chance to deal with things.
Yes.
And then when things don't go to plan, we are in the best mental state to
Yes.
be able to accept or surrender to what is happening. Now,
Yes.
if your self discipline is to mitigate stress or pain or difficulty, when stress, pain, and difficulty come in, and if it is just surface sort of work, and you don't do the deep work of being, you can very easily get distracted and torn asunder by. Please come back up. Yeah, I saw that you dropped, but you can. What I'm trying to say, I'm going to try and do this really quickly. If you're going to fake it till you make it, and you don't make it, and you don't get to a place where you're actually engaged in your routine, and it is not, because, like, for me, I've been journaling since 1993 pretty
Wow.
regularly. Like, every morning I write 3 pages, and of course, like, there are stints of time where I don't do it or whatever. It's no longer something that I feel like I have to do. It is something that I do,
Yes.
and I do it, and it is not. If I don't do it for an extended period of time, of course I notice that I'm not doing it. But um, it's not something that is a hard line in my life. It's not something that I have to do. And, oh, if I miss this, my day's gonna be shit or whatever, right? Like,
Right.
it is within me that it gets done. And so when we can get, I believe, when we can get to a place, it's like, okay, we're doing this. It's not ritual. It's not. It is just. It is part of my life, and that part of my life is, I mean, you could define it as anything you want. If we want to put words to it, we could say that there's discipline involved in that.
Yes.
But
And
go
it
on.
has to remain flexible, right? Because
Right.
the thing is that you know, my life again is the great testimony to this,
Yeah.
is that even though, you know, like you're saying with the journaling, even though the journaling is become ingrained in you, or not ingrained in you for lack of a better word, but
Yeah.
it's a part of you, right? It's now a part of who you are, and it's that thing, just like you get up out of the bed and you go to the bathroom and you brush your teeth and then you journal, right? I'm not saying that's the way you do
No,
it,
I understand. Yeah.
but you still have to have that flexibility, and you also have to be kind to yourself. And if you do it, you if you miss a few days, then you miss a few days. That's fine. But it's there to be consistent in your life, and that also that place that where we connect back to ourselves, and we put ourselves first sometimes, and that self discipline, that we say I'm gonna do these different things until they become habit, or you know, nothing becomes habit. Just at the beginning, it takes some time of saying I'm going to do this. I'm going to step into this fully.
Yeah. And there's always a journey to that being integrated, right? Like, so
Yes.
what we end up doing is we do it, and it's something that we do have to make an effort at.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
effort that we that effort that we end up putting in, continues to evolve and continues to, integrate into our lives. And it ebbs and flows, and we have growth that has nothing to do with the journaling or the thing that we're doing. It has to do with us. The thing we're
Yes.
doing is just another external. The thing we're doing is just another thing outside of ourselves, right? It's just, and our bodies do need that. Our lives do need that because, like, we really enjoy things to be solid. We really enjoy things being predictable. We want things to be a certain way. We want to be able to control things to some extent.
Routines.
Yeah, and all of that is great. And I'm really, grateful for having those sorts of things in my life, and those things have made me more aware of the growth that I am making.
Yes.
You know,
That.
because now we have a kind of way. Once again, we move into this idea of measuring. Now I can measure, like, to some abstract degree, that I am progressing.
Yes. Well, with that, before I time out again, do you want to
I
do a
want to,
number
yeah, I
for me?
need a number. Yeah, between 1 and 81.
I got 32 this morning.
32.
I
So
love talking to you, Martin John.
it's always so wonderful. Okay, so number 32 is entitled, "It is not what you can see."
Mm.
Okay, so this states, "So subtle is Tao, it can never be seen, and yet nothing that can be seen is without it. When beings can remain centered in Tao, all that they can perceive is in harmony. As that harmony inspires actions, those actions will have names." Like journaling, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
action I take will have a name. Know that those names are provisional. If those actions inspire institutions to form, know where their reach should end. Inspired actions, although they may have names, those names needn't be taken too seriously. Tao is behind it all, even if you cannot see it.
I love that. And that goes right along with our conversation this morning.
I think so.
Yeah, it
You know,
just
this
ties
this
in.
starts so beautifully. So subtle is Tao, it has never been seen, and yet nothing that can be seen is without it. Everything you see, everything you do, everything you act, is everything has Tao as a part of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there is nothing that you are doing or you are living or that you're experiencing it's not involved in, right? Like
Right.
constantly. You and every movement and choice is a part of that too, whether or not we like to believe it or see it. Everything that we are walking in is it's there. You know, we're in that moment and experiencing it. all at the same time.
And that brings us to that last line. I mean, we're going to go through this whole thing, but the last line being Tao is behind it all, even if you can't
Mm-hmm.
see it. Even like Tao is behind your waking up early. Tao is behind your hating that you're waking up early. Tao is
Yes.
behind your sleepiness this afternoon. Tao is behind this conversation. Tao is behind your talk. Tao is behind your misery because
Yes.
your misery will make you make a different choice.
Yes, it will. And
And
every
so it's part of it.
Yeah, I love, and and that's one thing that helps us give ourselves grace, right? That we know that every part of everything at every moment is a part of that, right? That it has purpose to it, even if we don't feel like we understand that purpose, or even if we don't feel like we understand that at that moment, and we're like, how can this be part of my plan or part of my journey, and how can this be intentional, and especially when we're walking in the hard stuff, right?
Right.
But every part of it, I this the first time Kelsey was in the hospital this year, when she had the tube down her throat, um, I was there, and this thing came across that pain heals pain, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, that is such a profound. I was in a painful moment, of course, and that statement came to me, pain heals pain, and I was like, that's so powerful, right? That even in our pain is intentional to heal
Mm-hmm.
other pain. And that is such a beautiful thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is beautiful. And you know, as and as we look at this next line, when beings can remain centered in the Tao, all they perceive is in harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Even the pain is harmonious. You may not
Yes.
think it is. You may not want it to be. You may not want to admit that it is because, oh, it's hard on you. Oh, poor, pitiful you, right? Like you have it hard, you know? But everything that you can perceive is still in harmony. For whatever reason, this is harmonious. Now, are you going to surrender to that harmony, or are you going to resist that harmony?
Yes, and that's the thing, is that you want to surrender, right? Like, you
Yes.
want to surrender, because if you allow that to flow through your life, man, it takes you some beautiful places. The good, the bad, the ugly. No matter what it looks like, no matter how you are perceiving it, you just can't understand what you can't see the bigger picture, right? You see
No.
the moment, but you
Right.
don't see the bigger picture. And when you don't know the bigger picture, and all you have is that moment. If you still can perceive it as it's working in your favor, oh, it just changes the tide. It does. It really does.
Yeah. And you're like, well, a lot of people want to say, why me? But,
Mm-hmm.
a master is going to sit there and be like, I'm centered in Tao. This is harmonious. This
Yes.
is this is for me. And when you can step into that and say, and instead of being anxious and wild with this moment, you approach this moment with clarity because you know it's harmonious. You don't approach it with wildness because you think, oh, this is bad. Something bad is going to happen. No. If because the calmer you are, the quicker you're going to be able to address the situations that you find yourself.
Yep. You said, why me? When Kelsey was first diagnosed, and with Kelsey's diagnosis, it's given to you as it's a death sentence, right? And so you have to go through these emotions and stuff like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
went through these emotions. And one of my first questions was, why me?
Yeah.
And what I got back was a resounding, why not you? Who
Mm-hmm.
better than you to do this? And I couldn't understand that. I understood it to the level of that I was already trained up in the way to handle this, because of all that I had already endured. But the other part was is that I had no idea the blessings that would come out of Kelsey being sick, and out of
Mm-hmm.
Kelsey having this diagnosis, and out of the life that would come out of living this in this world with her. And who I've become has been amazing. Like, I am such a better person because of Kelsey, because of all that we've had to endure, and all that we've overcome, and all that we have confronted. So who better than me? What a
Yeah.
blessing to me. And that's the thing, is that even in the adversities, if we can learn to just go, why not me? Who
Yeah.
better than me? What a
Hmm.
blessing to me to be able to do this journey.
Yeah. As this goes on, and it's really interesting as you speak about that, as that harmony inspires actions. One sec, my computer turned off for a sec. Um, there it is. As that harmony inspires actions, those actions will have names. Know that those names are provisional. So what that means, the way I see that, is as that harmony inspires actions, you have been inspired to act and do certain things. Those actions will inspire names. Those names are what you identify as, right? Like, this made me a better person, this made me this made me that, all
Mm-hmm.
of that. But know that those names are provisional. You can sit there and you can say, I'm a better person and I'm all these things, but that has to end at some point. You have to be you. You're not
Yes.
better. You're not more suited to anything. You don't have anything more than anybody else because you've had this experience. You are still just having your experience. And this
Yes.
is where humility still has to come in play.
Yes, yes, and I understand that completely, because the only thing that's been made better is not that my life is better than anyone. My life is better than the status quo it was prior to
Right.
that.
Yeah.
That's the things that I've had the opportunity to grow up. That doesn't mean that, and I say that I live a beautiful life, right, all the time. That I have a gorgeous, beautiful life. Does it look like what the status quo of the world we expect to have to classify as a beautiful life? Like, do I have all the money, or all of the accolades, or all of those things? Well, no. But within me, I have a beautiful life. Within me, I have the peace. Within me, I have joy. Within me, I look at my life and I am content with my being and who I am at this moment in time. But also, that doesn't alleviate the goals or the desires to do better, be better, have better, and step up into higher realms either. So yes, yes, that makes, you know it's ever changing, right? Because life is not stagnant, life is ever flowing. And so who I am today will change tomorrow, and what my better today my will will be my worst tomorrow.
Yeah. Like, and that's this middle section sort of wraps up. And if you need to come back up, please do. Um, if those actions, the actions that you're taking, and the names that you have, and all that, inspire institutions to form, like education or politics or all of those things, know where their reach should end.
Mm-hmm.
Inspired actions, although they may have names, those names needn't be taken too seriously.
Yes.
Just because you have been inspired to take action, that doesn't mean you're right. It simply means that you were inspired to take action, and that action was right in that moment. And that's great. It's wonderful that that action was right at that moment. But don't pat yourself on the back too hard, because the next moment, that action isn't going to be the right action. It's going to be the action that was right before.
Yes.
And that's one of the big things that we have to recognize with who we are. We're like, when we take an action, usually this happens as children. We take an action, let's say, of hiding because we don't want to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we're out in the world, and then we see that, like, as children, hiding so we don't get in trouble works. Well, then we go out into the world and we start engaging, but then when we're afraid, we hide so that we don't get in trouble. And we don't attract attention. And then we start doing that for the rest of our lives. Why? Because we have taken that action too seriously. We
Yes.
have taken that way of doing things to a point that it's not healthy anymore.
Yes.
You know, it was healthy, it protected us, and now we have to learn from that and be able to grow out of it. And that's why, you know, when I look at this, it is not what you can see is the title of this. It's not about what you can see. It's not about that you can see yourself hide. It's not about what you're seeing externally. It's not about what you can identify. It's about this moment right now. It's because, like, what you can see is simply the manifestation. What you can observe is simply what you have already put into action.
You know, and that's such an important lesson that you just talked about, Martin John, is of what served us at one point and doesn't serve us now, right? And understanding that at any moment that you can stop it and change directions and go in the opposite direction of that. And that is such a huge, huge lesson to learn. So many times we get headed in a direction, we start doing these patterns. And I have been very honest about a lot of the patterns that I've had in the past. And there was Lois, speaking of beautiful Lois. But, you know, we did these things as children, and they served us well. They kept us protected. They did all of these things to get us, keep us alive, and all of that stuff. But at some point, they really do stop serving us well. And at some point, we give ourselves permission to say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to keep going down this path anymore. It's now become self-destructive, or
Right.
it's not giving me the outcome that I need, and I need to um, turn and go in a new direction to something that serves me better at this point in this time in my life. And that is such a powerful lesson to learn.
Yeah, and that's hard. It's a hard lesson because people
Um,
want to have the answer.
Yes, they do, and it that's where we go back. If we go back to routines and being rigid in those hard lines, sometimes we have. That's where we have to learn that those lines don't have to be so hard and rigid, and they should be flexible and our willingness to change the flow in any moment in time.
That's right. Yeah. And you know, and then the end of this is Tao is behind it all, even if you cannot see it. And that's how it
Yes,
ends. And you know, Tao is behind your coming up with a name for your action. And Tao is behind your, like, adhering to that. And Tao is
yes,
behind your growing and learning from that as well. And that's the big thing. We have to recognize that the whole is Tao. And it's not just one aspect of it. It's not just me being, good. That's, a lot of people that are attached to God through religion are very much like, I'm going to give God all the credit and none of the blame. Like, and it's like, well, I mean, if he gets one, he gets it all, right?
he gets
Like,
it all.
and that's the thing. It's like in Tao, it's saying here, Tao's behind it all. Tao's behind your being too, you know, yeah, giving yourself. You're not. What do I want to say? Tao is behind your attachment to the actions that you take, but Tao is also behind, like, the awareness of growing beyond it. And
Yes,
and if you are aligned with Tao, and if you surrender to Tao, it will be easier for you to let go of your need to control this moment.
yes, yes. I love it so much. I thank you, Martin John. This has been such a beautiful, beautiful conversation. I know I've been on your stage for quite a bit now, and I'm not gonna stay here because I know you got other people who are gonna come. I do, man. This has been a beautiful conversation between you and I this morning, and I
Thank you.
appreciate it so much. And I'm gonna tell you, since Lois is in here now, I'm still super jealous that you get to see her today and hug her. But Lois, I'm sending extra hugs via Martin John today. And Martin, if you'll just squeeze her like extra, extra tight on my behalf,
I
I would
will.
appreciate that so much.
It'll be beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin John. Have
Good
a
luck on
great,
your
beautiful
talk, and
death.
we'll be in touch again.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Okay, bye bye. All right, Lois, speak of the saint. She is in the queue, so we will pull up Lois. Lois, how are you enjoying the cold of Chicago spring?
Don't ask me that because I said I ain't gonna complain. I'm gonna be real. I said I was not gonna complain no more. I complained for a couple of days, and I said day before yesterday I'm not complaining no more. So I actually went out walking, and then yesterday had fun, met people, met a
Yeah.
couple of people, had good conversations. You know, so
Oh, go on.
I'm trying my best. Okay,
Yeah,
because this
yesterday was like, for us Midwesterners, yesterday was gorgeous.
yesterday was good because I went out before I did my talk, and I ran into some sun, and I took a
Yeah.
picture of it.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
know that
yeah,
sounds
yeah.
so crazy, but I took a picture of it because it was sun. Oh my god! So then
That's right.
I had purpose. I'm gonna go walking later, but then I did my show. I went to sleep, and then I was like, oh, forget it. I'm still going. So I went out at like 6:37 or something like that, and I walked around for a while. Went to Target, came back, and met people on the way to Target, and then met people on the way back, and then I
Oh,
met up with my daughter. So it was a good time had by all, I believe.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I'd like to see those pictures of you in the Signature Cafe. That was beautiful.
Hey, the best view was from the bathroom, but you know what they said it was fine dining, so I had to see how fine it was, and it was pretty good. It was really
Oh,
good.
you went to the restaurant?
I went to the restaurant. By the time I got there, I was hungry. So I was like,
Oh, well,
you know
go
what?
on.
Because I read about it. Cause I always try to research where I'm going. So I
Yeah.
read about it, and I was like, oh, fine dining. Okay, well I'll sit at a table and look at the view. So they put me on a high stool so I could see the whole view.
Oh, so
And
nice.
but my view from the bathroom was better.
Yes,
That was like, what the hell?
it is the women's bathroom. I hear like, and that view like is so good. Like you get to see the lake, you get to see the city. You're looking south.
Right.
Like it is so nice.
And then it had the little heater vent that's not on the floor, but where you can actually sit on it and take a picture too. Oh my
Oh, that's
goodness! It
good.
was it was. I didn't do all that, but I took pictures of people, and I sat. Wait, this is also crazy. I sat in the bathroom for a good 10 minutes.
Good.
Okay, just sat down and just looking out the window. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. People walked in, was like, wait, you got the best view. I said, yeah, this is. I said, it wouldn't have cost me nothing, but it cost me a dinner, but that's okay. But
Yeah.
it was really nice to be able to see the whole city. At least I said I did that as cold AF as it was.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
the nice thing about that cold, when like it clears the atmosphere. Like it
It
makes it so easy to see.
makes it
Like,
easy to see, but it messed with my nose.
oh, I know. I know.
Okay, and
I
and
know.
that was the thing. So I was like, okay, we're not gonna complain about the cold. We're not gonna
Yeah.
complain about the nose. We're just gonna keep wiping it and keep
Yeah.
wiping.
You
Just
just you
like, hey,
just
it's like
vigilance.
gear up.
That's right.
I'm in a, like every season change all the time. I'm not fortunate enough. I'm gonna say it like that. Fortunate enough to be in a place where it actually really snows, and if it does, it don't even stick. Okay, because it snowed
Right.
in Vegas this year, but it
Yeah.
didn't stick. But
Right.
to be in a place where it's really like this again, and I said that when I lived in Missouri for 3 years, I would never go back to that code. And then I
Yeah.
find myself here and then adapting, and so
Yeah.
it's about I'm knowing I'm in the season where it's cold. It's like gear up. You don't have to be cold. Put
That's
on
right.
some layers, but you feel kind of stuffed, but like a stuffed
Yeah. No,
burrito. I
it's a
mean,
it's
it's
a
like
it's a
wrapped tight,
different.
but it's
Yeah.
it's
It's a
different, and it's an acquired taste, I would say, because everybody always since when they find out I'm not from here, they said, well, how you like the cold? And I'm like, look, why y'all wanted me to complain about this cold? Because I said I wasn't gonna complain.
we
Now,
we there is a foundation of complaining in the cold. Like that's just how, like there is a little bit of that, and I've had to learn to get around that, because it is cultural. Like you go anywhere in the northern, like my mom for a time lived in Minnesota, and that's just, it is
mm,
part and parcel of the of the cultural milieu, if you will. Like
Right.
it's just like what we do. Like it's like, oh, we're gonna get. Yeah, yeah, I remember. It's just so many. And there's stoicism in it, and there's a lot of just like,
Wait a
yep,
minute.
it's cold, keep
Stoicism
it
in the
up.
cold, dude. It's like I don't know. It's kind of like, and I will believe that it's cultural because everybody has asked me, how do I like it? And I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
yeah.
why everybody want to talk about the damn
Why ever?
weather? It's like, let's
That's, yeah.
talk about something else. I'm trying to not think about how cold AF it is out here. Okay,
That's right.
okay. And everybody wants to ask me about what
Yeah,
I like
that's
about. Do I like? No, I don't like this weather. Okay, but you know, but the thing
and
is that it's an acquired taste. I mean,
it
yesterday I
is.
had a good time because I totally said I'm not going to complain at all, and I
That's
went
good.
out and I was good. But then two people asked me about the fucking weather, and I'm thinking, don't ask me,
Yeah, there's
please.
just
I want to
keep
get
it
out of that
out.
vibration of the weather, and I know it's just my vibration on the weather. So, like I said, yeah, last night I geared up and I was good. I was good to go. So,
Yeah, well,
and
this afternoon it's going to be beautiful. We're going to be, like mid 40s to 50. So we're
okay.
gonna,
Oh, that's good. Oh my
yeah. So
god.
we're gonna
Oh
we're
my
gonna have,
god. You mean I don't
I
have to
mean,
wear all those clothes? No, stop.
yeah, it'll be nice, and we're gonna hang out. We're gonna go get some food. I'm gonna show you a couple spots, and we'll just enjoy our time. I'm looking forward to it. So,
Okay.
um, you have a number?
I gotta pick 21 for Brianna's birthday tomorrow since that's why I'm out here.
Yeah. So this is entitled "Tao is not temporary." The master is at peace, knowing she is of manifestation, and that manifestations are always temporary. Knowing this, she always follows Tao. How can she be at peace knowing she is temporary? Because she doesn't cling to her life or ideas, and still she is fulfilled. Tao cannot be fathomed or known. How can she follow it? She allows it to lead her from moment to moment. Tao is and is always, even before manifestation of time and space. Tao is beyond both temporary and forever. How do I know this is true? The evidence is within me, as it is within you.
That's good. That is so good. And I've been talking about the season and gearing up and knowing that, hey, I'm gonna be back in Vegas in 2 days, so I'll be good.
Yeah.
When you only have to bear it for a little while, you can deal with anything. And the thing is that when we have a situation occur, because we're in this dualistic universe.
Mm-hmm.
When we had that one thing, we know we're gonna have the other. And the thing is our job is it's all on the same pole, whether it's positive or negative, it's on the same pole. And our job is to try to stay on the expectation of the positive by putting this positive out there. So when we do that, we can flow through any damn situation and be calm and peaceful and all that kind of stuff. Even dealing with this cold.
Yep.
Because I mean, I haven't been stressed about it. I'm like, oh, I ain't going nowhere. Oh, but and I didn't do all that. No, I'm like, no, I'm going someplace. I'm just going to put more clothes on,
Yeah.
or whatever I got to do. So it's just about going with the flow, knowing that this is temporary. And I don't, for
Yeah.
me, because I didn't been in and out a couple of times,
Mm-hmm.
I really know it's temporary. So I'm trying to, I don't know how much time. But as long as I got some time, I'm going to do the best I can to do the most fulfilling things that I can, whether that means fulfilling myself by learning more and doing more for others, or fulfilling other people's stuff.
Yeah.
Just because they need a little bit of. It's like
Yeah.
I can't je ne sais quoi. I don't know exactly what they need, but if they need it and I have it, it's there. So that's why I said.
I
So
got it.
yeah, so it's just going with the flow, and that's a good one because I know that even though I know Brianna was here and she was here for 32 and years and 11 and a half months, because I'm like I said, she almost made it to her birthday. I'm 33, but she was here, and it was temporary, but her effects, her energy is still here, and it still lasts outside of space and time. Because yesterday my daughter, the one here, she was having a little trouble at work, and so I sent Brianna's energy and my angels to go talk to her angels and her boss's angels so they can give her some time off,
Yeah.
because she's trying to catch a cold because they've been working her 13 hours.
Mm.
So I came back. When I came back from the store, she was here, and I was like, oh, she's here, and it was early compared to what time she was being here, like 9:30, 10 o'clock. And the whole thing is that she said she had a very good day and things just flowed and stuff. And then she said she kept thinking about Brianna all day. And
Yeah.
I didn't tell her that I was
No.
sending the angels and sending Brianna over there to support her, because she was really, when I say stressed out, because she was catching a cold.
Right.
Okay, and you don't catch a cold working 13 hours, and you don't have time for breaks and eats, and so she got to do something about this job thing. But that ain't this. I'm not mine to handle. But
Yeah.
yeah. So just in
Yeah.
doing that, it her being Brianna being beyond space and time. That's the energy that we're all created from. And this is a good one for me today, because
Yeah.
I saw it in effect yesterday. You
Yeah,
know.
and I love how you started this, where it's just like I'm gonna be back in Vegas soon. So it's like manifestations are always temporary.
Yeah.
This is temporary no matter what it is. Even if it's temporary in terms of like years or whatever,
Mhm.
you get lost in the manifestation. You think, "Oh, this is never going to change. This is my life and I'm, this is unhappy or this isn't something that I want." And you get stuck in that. You
Yeah.
know,
If you
but
stay, if you can, because you freeze in the seasons.
right.
We go through all these seasons in a day. We go through
Mhm.
all the seasons in a year, in a month, or whatever. But we go through seasons in our finances, seasons in our relationships, seasons. Everything rotates in seasons. And if we know this in a season, this is just the summer season when you're all happy and giddy, and or whatever. But the fall gonna come. The fall
Mhm.
gonna come where you won't be so happy and giddy, and then eventually there's winter. But know that there is spring coming back up, and when you realize that you got your spring and things gonna spring up, and then you got your fall, things gonna fall down. You got your summer where things are all alive, and then you got your winter where it's all cold and frigid. We gotta have that darkness for that light. We gotta know the opposites seasons, so we know that we flow through it. And I used to freeze myself in the season, okay, because
Yeah.
I'm thinking that this season gonna last forever. And guess what? Even though the weather changed, the season still lasts forever, because I think this is just my lot in life. I mean, I was resolved to be where I was, and I'm just like, if this is where my lot is, I'm just gonna be happy right here.
Mhm.
And I was happy in misery. Okay,
That's
and and
right.
I and I
Yeah.
functioned well, happy in misery, but
Yeah.
it killed me. But it killed me
But you can only do that for a time
for a
because you can
time.
only
Okay, a
function because
season.
it's still
Yeah.
part of manifestation. So it's
Uh
still
huh.
just temporary. You're temporary. Everything you do is temporary. When you try and freeze stuff, you are resisting
There it
this
is.
moment.
There it is. Now you're resisting the next moment, because the
Right.
next moment actually sets you free, because the season ends. And
That's
when I
right.
realized I was in a season of illness, and that the season could end, and it wasn't, oh, you're going to have this for the rest of your life. If I
Right.
resolved myself to that, I mean, I'd still be sick.
That's right.
But I realized it was a season, and that the season can be over. Just like that's why I say it's the season in every day. You spring up in the morning, you got your summer at noonday, you got your fall in the afternoon and the evening and stuff, and then you got your winter when you sleep. So when I remember that, if I keep that in my forefront of my mind, I can endure anything,
Yeah.
because it's only for a season.
You remind me of a song called Broken Bicycles, and there's a line in there that says, "Seasons can turn on a dime. Somehow I forget every time."
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's like, oh, like you forget that things
Yeah.
can change so quick.
Yeah, you
The
forget that
weather,
everything is on a pole, on that energy pole, and you got
yeah,
0 point in the middle, and you can go to the left, or you can go to the right. You can go higher, you can go low, or you can go low or higher, whatever it is. And at any point in time, when you change your thought, you change your fucking season. When you wake up, it's a new day. And wake up don't mean when I get up in the morning. And wake up is any time you realize that you can smell the coffee and that it's a new day. And sometimes we don't think it's a new.
Yep. You can come back on if you wanted to finish that. Yeah, I would love for you to. Thanks. Yeah. Broken Bicycles. Such a good song. Okay. Yep. I don't know. She might. Yeah. There's some weird glitching that happened with Jessica this morning as well. She was kind of locked out and she had to come back up. I don't know if that's what's happening with you, Lois, but yeah. Let's see if we can get you back on. Yeah, things change quick.
So what I was saying is, so when we realize that the reason why we feel like shit in the morning is because we brought ourself, the you, we put the you in it.
Yeah.
Instead of MORNING, we put the you in it and made it morning by carrying
Yeah.
over the bullshit from the day before. And whenever we wake up to that, we're changing the season.
That's right.
Okay?
That's
And
right.
the season change every freaking day. And it can change every minute because you can go from a good thought to a bad thought at any point in time. And you can make it a winter or a summer in your thoughts. And when you do that, when you learn how to do that, it don't matter how cold it is, how hot it is outside, you'll be able to fare any way you want because you get to choose the season you're in based on your thoughts. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, and you can just surrender to this moment and be like,
Yes.
this is this moment, and not have a thought about it.
Yes. Okay. And that part too. That
You
part
know,
too.
and then it's not like you have spring or summer or anything. Then you just have this being, this center. This
Mm-hmm.
is where when I talk about like living a reasonable life, you
Mm-hmm.
can't dictate what happens,
Right.
but you can dictate and you can respond, or you can you know to that moment
Mm-hmm.
from your perspective, and
Right.
that is surrendering to what is and allowing yourself to just receive,
And
because you
adapt.
are
And
receiving
adapt.
from the
Yes.
best. What's that?
And adapt.
Yes.
Because it's about us learning. It's about us learning and learning to know that in any situation we can be the victor. We just got to
Yeah.
choose the right end to the pole. We got
Right.
because everything is on a pole. We got to choose the right end, and we pick up the wrong end. That shit gonna hurt us, and then it's gonna
Hmm.
feel terrible, and it's so hard. Yeah, it's hard because you're picking up the wrong end of that two-edged sword.
That's right.
Okay, pick up the other side. The other side is really nice. You may cut you, but it's gonna cut you like a surgeon. But you keep picking up that chainsaw side, it's gonna chop your ass up. So
You're gonna get
so
ripped up. What's
okay,
up?
okay, okay. So we can
Hmm.
pick up either side of the pole that we want to. And the
That's right.
thing is, people think that we have to do a certain thing. To me, oh, because they did that, I don't need it. Well, no, it's like to me, ain't no just. I'm like Wayne Dyer. Ain't no justified resentments. Ain't no reason I'm gonna justify
Mm-mm.
feeling like shit.
That's right.
Okay, why the fuck I want to justify feeling like shit when I don't have to?
Yeah.
It's okay to feel down every now and then and stuff, but you got to realize that you chose that side of the pole to pick.
That's right. And you
It,
don't.
it, it, it wasn't arbitrary. It wasn't
Yeah.
arbitrary. You chose it. Wasn't no luck. You chose it with your thoughts. And if you don't know, if you didn't choose it consciously, then that means you got to spend some time quieting your mind to find out what your thoughts are because you chose it.
As we look at this, Tao is not temporary. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when Tao is not temporary and we surrender to it, we can be anywhere for anything always.
Yes, there it
But
is right there.
when we start looking only at the manifestation, even though we learn over the years, we have these, I don't want to say lessons, but we have these experiences where everything ends, my feelings end, my anger ends, my fear ends, all of this ends. And even though they have ended, I still choose to give them more attention.
Mm-hmm.
I still choose to be like, I'm scared. That's going to end. Yes, but I'm scared. And and you as my friend or whatever have to accommodate
Hmm.
my being unnecessarily scared or whatever, because if you don't, then you're not being nice to me, right? Or and then we have all of this stuff. It's like we're not really recognizing the temporary nature of everything that happens in the world.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it is, we're stuck in this
Hmm.
space of, you know believing the manifestation is real.
Man, it's funny that you said that because when I was thinking about the circle of life. I don't know, that sounds weird, but the
Yeah.
circle of life. But it's all about again the seasons. It's all about springing up, getting into the summer of who you are, doing what you got to do, and then about laying some foundation for the next person, and then you go back into the dirt. Okay, you come
Hmm.
back but you spring back up again because right now I'm in the season of Lois.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're in the season of Martin John. Who knows? Maybe next time I'll be in the season of a Martin John and you be Lois. I don't know what my next season is going to entail, but the thing is to be fearful of what I don't know don't make no damn sense.
Right.
Okay, and if I'm fearful, I'm projecting my past into my future. So again, that's taking that you and putting it in and making it morning. And
Yeah.
I've learned not to do that anymore. And it's not that I never did it; it's that I always did it. I
Right.
always did it. And now I've learned that hey, at any point I can shift.
Yeah. Because and understanding that this moment, no matter what's going on, it's temporary, and we are temporary, and this relationship is
Hmm.
temporary. Now,
Right.
that doesn't mean that it is going, like a lot of people want to jump and say, well, if it's temporary, then it's going to end. And it's like, well, no, it's going to change. Like
Hmm.
everything changes. Don't think
Right.
things, and nothing ends and nothing begins. Everything just changes,
Huh?
and it expands and contracts and does things like,
You don't like
just
to talk.
because just because you have never met this other person before doesn't mean that you have never been connected before. The people that you met in Chicago were just manifestations of things that you have already created.
Yes, and
And
I
now
saw
it's
that,
change.
and today it will change because I've manifested some other stuff. We're gonna see how this plays out. But anyway,
Beautiful.
let me get off of here and talk to my
All
daughter
right.
because she needs to
Yeah,
go to
you guys
work.
have a wonderful, wonderful morning, and I'll see you this afternoon.
All right, I'll see you this afternoon morning. Okay, bye
All right.
bye.
Bye. All right. Well, I'm gonna end it there. I got a Spanish conversation happening in about 40 minutes or so, so I want to prepare for that and get my morning moving along. Thank you all so much for joining me for Tao of the Day. Thank you, Jessica and Lois, for joining me and picking 32 and 21, respectively. Once again, this is Tao of the Day, where we talk about living a little bit more reasonable of a life. And I'm Martin John, the recovery mentor. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.